Space was silent, but the message was loud. The first strange signal arrived without warning. A pulsing, coded transmission appeared on every listening post from Mars to the dark side of the moon. At first, human scientists thought it was just cosmic noise, random static. Nothing unusual, but then the pattern repeated. Again and again. Dr. Leena Park, lead scientist at the Deep Space Listening Array, frowned as the screen filled with strange symbols. "This isn't random," she whispered. "Someone is talking to us." The team worked for hours decoding the alien message. What they found turned the room cold. The message was not a greeting. It was not a peaceful call. It was a demand. The translation was simple. "This territory is not yours. Leave your colonies. Abandon the stars. You have one cycle to comply." A single word at the end of the message made everyone shiver. Surrender. The room fell silent. One of the junior techs swallowed hard. "They know where we are," he said, and they did. The signal carried star maps, precise coordinates. Every single human colony was marked. The message reached Earth within minutes. Every government received it. Every leader read it. Panic followed. Some said it was a bluff. Some said it was a trap. But everyone agreed on one thing. Whoever sent it had technology far beyond human understanding. President Reyes called an emergency meeting. Generals, scientists, and politicians filled the room. "This is a first contact event," she said. "And it's hostile." Earth's colonies were already sending desperate messages. What do we do? Do we run? Do we fight? No one had an answer. 1 week later, the stars changed. A single alien ship appeared at the edge of the solar system. It was massive, larger than any human station. Its hull shimmered like dark glass they did not hide. Instead, they broadcasted a new message. This time, a voice spoke, deep, cold, and without emotion. "We are the Virex Dominion. You have taken what is not yours. Leave your colonies and return to your homeworld. You have one last chance. Refuse, and we will remove you." The transmission ended. The ship turned and began to leave. Everyone breathed a little easier until the alarm started, hidden from human eyes. A small drone detached from the alien ship, silent, invisible. It drifted toward Earth's orbit. No one saw it until it was too late. The drone latched onto Earth's defense network and began transmitting. Every satellite, every orbital station, every ship position sent straight to the alien fleet. Inside the Defense Command Center, alarms screamed. "They're mapping us." A technician shouted. "Shut it down." The general barked, but it was already done. Dr. Leena watched the data flood across her screen. "They know everything," she whispered. Every ship, every weapon, every weakness. The room was silent again. No one needed to say what they were all thinking. This was no negotiation. This was preparation for war. Outside, far beyond Pluto, something huge moved in the dark. A fleet. Dozens of alien warships were gathering. Their drives burned cold, invisible to human sensors. But the listening array caught a faint, repeating pulse. Another signal. Leena's team worked fast, translating the new message. This one was shorter. "We are coming." Panic spread across the colonies. Refugee ships launched. Families abandoned outposts they had spent years building. Earth's leaders argued. But no one could stop what was coming. Military fleets scrambled. Defense grids, armed. Soldiers prepared for the worst. But deep inside, every human knew the truth. The Virex were not bluffing, and they would not stop. Leena stood on the observation deck, staring at the stars. Somewhere out there, an enemy she had never seen was coming to kill them all. Her hands shook as she whispered to herself, "Humanity has been challenged. Now we find out if we deserve the stars." The night sky seemed darker than ever. And then, on the edge of the solar system, a second alien ship appeared, bigger, closer, and this one wasn't sending messages. It was coming. Straight for Earth. The second alien ship did not slow. Down it cut through the outer system like a black blade. moving faster than anything humans had ever built. Defense satellites tried to track it, but the readings were strange. The ship bent light, appearing and disappearing on scanners. Inside Earth's defense command, the atmosphere was tense. Trajectory locked, a controller said. Destination? Asked General Kale. The answer was grim. Earth orbit. Direct approach. World leaders gathered in an emergency broadcast. The president's voice was steady, but everyone could hear the fear underneath. We will attempt peaceful communication, she said. Humanity will not strike first. It was the right choice. But it felt like waiting for a storm you couldn't stop. The alien ship arrived 3 days. Later, every telescope on Earth turned toward it. It was massive, a dark crescent shape, glowing faintly with strange blue lights. Its surface moved as if alive, like liquid metal. Then the transmission began. A figure appeared on every screen, tall, thin, with a smooth, featureless face. Its voice echoed as though a machine was speaking for it. We are the Virex Dominion. Your time is up. President Reyes appeared on the screen. This is Earth. We request peaceful negotiation. The alien tilted its head, as if curious. There is no negotiation. Leave or be removed. We cannot abandon billions of lives, Reyes said. We will defend our people. The alien's face did not change. Then you will die. The transmission cut. The alien ship drifted closer to Earth, passing silently over the planet. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the first human satellites began to fail. They're disabling our network. A technician shouted. Screens went dark one by one. Communication relays fell silent. In orbit, 2 human patrol ships approached the alien craft, sending warnings. This is UN's Vigilant. You are entering restricted space. Power down your drives. And the message never finished. A beam of white light erupted from the alien ship. The Vigilant vanished. Not exploded, just gone. The second patrol ship tried to run, but another beam hit it. Silence inside Defense Command. Everyone stared at the screens. They didn't fire missiles, someone said. They just erased them. General Kale slammed his fist on the table. That was an execution. They've declared war. For 3 days, the alien ship orbited Earth, silent and watching. Every attempt to board or attack it ended in disaster. Human shuttles were vaporized before reaching 100 kilometers. Then, just as suddenly as it had arrived, the alien ship turned and began to leave. Relief flooded the room. They're leaving, someone whispered. Maybe it was just a warning, but Dr. Leena Park wasn't convinced. No, she said, her voice tight. They've already done what they came to do. Hours later, her fears were confirmed. Hidden in the orbital debris field, technicians discovered a small lavette. Spider-like object clinging to an abandoned satellite. It was alien, a drone. When engineers tried to remove it, the drone activated, sending out a burst of data so strong it fried half the orbital network. When they analyzed the signal, the truth became clear. The drone had scanned everything. Defense grids, ship movements, even Earth's nuclear stockpile, and sent it all to the Virex fleet. Inside the listening array, Leena stared at the data. They know everything, she said softly. Every weapon, every weakness. They're not just coming to fight. They're coming to win, in the darkness beyond Pluto. Dozens of faint drive signatures appeared. The Virex fleet was moving. President Reyes called the final meeting. There is no more time, she said. They have chosen war. Her face hardened. Then so have we. Earth's shipyards went to full production. Old warships were pulled out of reserve. Colonists were recalled from the outer world, soldiers prepared. But in every heart, there was fear, because no one knew if humanity could survive what was coming. On the edge of the solar system, the Virex fleet formed up. Massive warships, shaped like knives, lined up in perfect silence. And from the flagship, one final message was sent, not to negotiate but to declare. Humanity has chosen death. The stars over Earth seem to burn. brighter that night, because everyone knew the next light they saw would not be a star, it would be fire. It began without warning. At 3 o'clock Universal Time, every alarm in the solar system went off at once. The Virex fleet had arrived. Sensors detected more than 50 warships, emerging from the void just beyond Neptune. Their drives burned cold blue like silent stars. They didn't send a message. They didn't need to. Within seconds, the first attack began. Human listening posts near Neptune were the first to die. The outposts didn't explode. They simply stopped existing. One moment they were there. Next moment, only a glowing cloud of particles remained. Then the Virex ships split into formation and burned toward the inner system inside Earth's Defense Command. Panic erupted. They're not slowing down. A controller shouted. All fleets intercept. General Kale barked. Human warships scrambled. The Mars defense grid lit up, launching every missile in storage. But it wasn't enough. The first battle took place near the orbit of Saturn. Humanity threw everything it had, destroyers, carriers, orbital cannons, at the alien vanguard. It was a slaughter. The Virex ships moved like predators, weaving through missile barrages, slicing human vessels apart with beams of pure light. One by one, the pride of Earth's Navy went dark. Captain Aric Vale of the UN's Horizon watched in horror as the fleet collapsed around him. Pull back, he shouted. All ships pull back. The Horizon turned hard, its engines screaming. The captain knew staying meant certain death. Sir, the Vigil's honor is still out there. His first officer cried. Eric's jaw tightened. He wanted to go back. He wanted to save them. But then he saw the Virex beam cut across the void, slicing the Vigil's honor in half. He gave the order. Get us out of here. Now, by the time the Horizon escaped, half the fleet was gone, and the Virex were still coming. On Mars, citizens watched as the alien fleet appeared in their sky. Red warning sirens echoed through the domes. Missiles launched. Defense lasers fired. For a few minutes, humanity held its ground. A Virex cruiser burned and broke apart, the first alien loss of the war. Cheers erupted. But celebration didn't last. The Virex retaliated in one blinding moment. The main Martian defense dome was hit. The explosion tore through the city like a hurricane of fire. Millions screamed. Millions were silenced. Back on Earth, Dr. Leena Park stood frozen as casualty reports came in. 20 million dead. In the first hour, someone whispered. Leena closed her eyes. This isn't a war, she said. It's an extinction. But there was one spark of hope. The UN's Horizon had survived, and its data logs were filled with something no one expected. Detailed scans of the Virex fleet's energy weapons, their movement patterns, even their shield fluctuations. It was the first real advantage humanity had. Found Captain Aric transmitted everything back to Earth before vanishing into deep space. If he could survive long enough, there might still be a chance, as the Virex fleet regrouped near Jupiter, preparing for their next strike. President Reyes stood before the United Nations. Humanity has been struck, she said, her voice like steel. But we are not broken. Her speech went out across every surviving colony. Every ship, every hiding outpost. For every world they burn, for every life they take, we will strike back. We will make them fear us. Her final words echoed in the silence. We will not surrender. We will fight. In the blackness beyond Jupiter. The Virex fleet turned toward Earth. Their next target was the homeworld, and this time, there would be no warning. On board the Horizon, Captain Aric stared out at the stars. His ship was damaged, running dark, hiding in the shadow of a dead moon, but his crew was alive. And somewhere, deep in the Horizon's belly, a weapon humanity had never used before was coming online. Aric clenched his fist. They wanted a war, he said. Let's give them one. The stars flickered, and far away. Deep space filled with the cold blue light of another Virex jump. The next battle was coming, and it would decide if humanity had a future. The Virex believed humanity was finished. After Mars burned, they slowed their attack, taking their time dismantling orbital stations and erasing human fleets one by one. They thought fear would do the rest. But fear had given humanity something else. Resolve, deep beneath the frozen surface of Antarctica. In a secret facility known only to a handful of people, Project Starbound came online. Rows of engineers and scientists worked in silence as massive reactors hummed to life. Dr. Leena Park stood at the observation window. "We have one shot at this," she said. "If it fails, we lose everything." General Kale nodded. "Then we don't fail." Project Starbound was Earth's last and most dangerous weapon, a prototype fleet of stealth warships. Armed with weapons never before used in combat, the Horizon, still limping from the first battle, was the first to receive the upgrades. Captain Aric Vale stood on the SHS as engineers installed the new systems. "Will it work?" his first officer asked. Aric gave a thin smile. "It has to. The first mission was simple. Hit the Virex before they could reach Earth." The Horizon and two sister ships jumped toward Europa. Where a Virex squadron was refueling, they arrived in silence. Virex didn't detect them until it was too late. The Horizon's new weapon fired a rail cannon that hurled a tungsten spear at near-light speed. The first Virex ship split apart in seconds, its black hole burning in the icy shadows of Jupiter's moon. Then the ambush began. Human ships swarmed out of the void, striking with precision. Torpedoes slammed into Virex cruisers. The Horizon's cannons tore through alien shields. For the first time in the war, the aliens were losing. Captain Aric's voice was cold and steady. "Target the command ship." The Horizon fired again. The Virex flagship erupted in a bloom of white fire. When the last alien ship broke apart, the battlefield fell silent. Humanity had won its first victory, back on Earth. Cheers erupted as the news spread. "We did it." Someone shouted inside Defense Command. Leena allowed herself a small smile. "We just proved they can bleed," but far away aboard the Virex main fleet. Admiral Threx watched the battle reports with cold fury. "Unacceptable," he hissed. His second-in-command bowed. "Shall we retreat and regroup?" Threx's head snapped around. "No, we finish this now. Prepare the Armada." Within hours, the largest Virex fleet ever assembled began to move. Their goal was no longer just to destroy humanity's fleets. They were coming for Earth itself. Meanwhile, Captain Aric knew the victory at Europa was just the beginning. "We hurt them," he said to his crew. "But they're not running, they're coming for us." His first officer swallowed hard. "Then what's the plan?" Aric's eyes hardened. "We make them regret ever finding us." In orbit above Earth, Project Starbound worked day and night, building more stealth ships and preparing the next phase of the war. For the first time, humanity was no longer just defending. They were hunting. Dr. Leena stood in the war room, staring at a holographic map of the solar system. "They'll come here," she said softly. "They'll come with everything they have." General Kale nodded grimly. "Then we'll be ready." The camera feeds showed the new Starbound fleet launching into space. One after another, sleek black ships disappearing into the void. Humanity had been knocked down, but now it was standing again, and in the darkness, far beyond Pluto. Admiral Threx's armada appeared, the largest fleet ever seen, glowing like a line of burning stars, all aimed at Earth. The final battle was coming, and this time, only one side would survive. The trap was ready. For weeks, humanity had waited in silence, hiding its fleets, drawing the Virex toward the chosen battlefield. Europa's shadow was the perfect place. The ice moon blocked sensors, masking the human fleet's heat signatures. Captain Aric Vale stood on the bridge of the Horizon. Staring at the tactical display, "They've taken the bait," his first officer said. Eric's jaw tightened. "Then this is where we make our stand." Across the solar system, billions watched the battle feeds. The largest human fleet ever assembled floated in silence behind Europa. dozens of Starbound-class stealth ships. Old warships pulled from reserve. Even civilian haulers armed with explosives. Waited to be used as decoys. This was everything humanity had left. If they lost here, there would be no second chance. The Virex arrived right on schedule. Admiral Threx's armada burned into the Jovian system. A wall of black metal. In cold blue fire, they outnumber us 3-2. 1. Someone whispered on the bridge. Aric didn't blink. Then, we'll just have to hit harder. The trap was simple, but deadly. As the Virex closed in, humanity's hidden satellites activated, flooding the area with false sensor readings. The aliens thought they were flying into a scattered, retreating fleet instead. They flew straight into a minefield. The first explosions were blinding. A dozen Virex ships vanished in an instant, torn apart by hidden charges buried in the ice. Then the horizon fired. The rail cannon's tungsten spear slammed through a Virex cruiser, breaking it in half. All ships, engage. Aric roared. Space lit up with fire. Human destroyers darted from hiding, launching salvo after salvo. Stealth ships ripped through alien shields. Vanishing before the enemy could respond, the battle turned into chaos. For the first time, the Virex were losing ground, but victory came at a cost. Human ships burned one after another. Breaking under alien fire, the UNS Solace sacrificed itself to ram a Virex battleship. Taking both ships out in a ball of plasma, even as the human fleet pushed forward, the price was staggering. On the horizon's bridge, alarms blared, shields down to 40%. Port thrusters failing. Aric gritted his teeth. "Hold the line," he said. "If we break, Earth burns." Then, in the middle of the battle, something extraordinary happened. A single Virex frigate, heavily damaged, tried to flee instead of destroying it. Aric gave a different order. "Disable it. Board it if you can." The Horizon's guns fired with surgical precision, blowing out the frigate's engines without destroying the ship. A boarding team launched. Minutes later, they returned with something humanity had never seen before. A prisoner. The Virex was tall and thin, its black armor scorched and smoking. Its face was smooth and featureless, except for a faint pattern of glowing lines. It didn't speak. It didn't resist. It simply stared at its human captors with something that might have been hatred or fear. When the smoke cleared, the battlefield belonged to humanity. The Virex had lost a third of their fleet. Admiral Threx was forced to order a retreat, the first in Virex history, in the war room back on Earth. The mood was electric. "We did it," General Kale said, staring at the casualty reports. "We actually stopped them." Dr. Leena Park didn't smile. "This isn't over," she said quietly. Her eyes were fixed on the prisoner, standing silently behind armored glass, later alone in the cell. The alien finally spoke. Its voice was strange, mechanical, as though a machine translated every word. "You should have surrendered. Now you have awakened something far worse." Leena froze. "What do you mean?" she asked. The alien tilted its head. "We are not the only ones who feared you." Leena's blood ran cold. "Feared us," she whispered. The alien's glowing eyes flared once. "Your species was never meant to survive this long." Then it fell silent. Across the solar system, the surviving human fleet limped home, battered but victorious. But in the cold void beyond Neptune, a new signal appeared, one that didn't match anything seen before. A single chilling word repeated again and again. Awakening, humanity had won the battle. But something far darker was coming. The Virex prisoner did not speak for 3 days. It stood perfectly still inside its containment cell, staring at the humans who came to observe it. The glowing lines on its face pulsed like a slow heartbeat. Dr. Leena Park never left the observation deck. She knew this alien held the key to the war, maybe even to humanity's survival. On the 4th day, it finally spoke. "You are persistent," the alien said. Its voice echoed through the speakers. It's translated into flat, emotionless English. Leena stepped closer. You said we've awakened something worse. What does that mean? The alien tilted its head. You should not exist. Your kind was supposed to remain on your world. You were never meant to leave. Leena frowned. Supposed by who? The alien was silent for a long moment before answering. The architects. The word sent a chill through the room. Who are the architects? Leena pressed. They are older than we are. Older than the stars, you know. They shaped the galaxy. They set the rules. They decided which species would rise and which would be erased. The alien's glowing eyes brightened, and they feared one species above all others. Yours. Leena felt her stomach twist. You're saying humanity was chosen? The alien shook its head. No, you were forbidden. Your evolution was to be stopped before you reached the stars. But somehow, you escaped their design. Somehow you grew too fast. Too far. Its voice dropped lower. We were sent to correct that mistake. Leena's hands trembled. You mean, exterminate us. You were never meant to survive. Across the solar system. The news of the captured alien's words spread. Billions watched as fragments of its testimony were broadcast. Some called it a lie meant to scare them. Others whispered that it was proof humanity had a greater destiny, one the galaxy wanted to destroy it in orbit. Captain Aric Vale listened to the report with clenched fists. They think we're a mistake? He said. His first officer nodded. Apparently, yes. Aric turned back to the stars. Then will be the biggest mistake they ever made. But even as humanity celebrated its first victory, the alien prisoner's warning continued to echo. Something worse is coming. 2 days later, the listening arrays picked up a new signal. It was not Virex. Its frequency was unlike anything ever recorded, deep, resonant, as though the galaxy itself was speaking. Dr. Leena stared at the waveforms, her pulse pounding. It's coming from outside the system, she said. And it's huge. The signal contained only one phrase, repeated endlessly. We are awake. The message hit every human colony, every ship, every outpost. Some described it as a voice in their heads. Others said they dreamed of endless, black eyes watching them from the void, across Earth. Strange power surges caused cities to flicker and darken. Something was coming. Inside the Virex cell, the prisoner finally moved. The architects have heard you, it said. They will not allow your defiance to continue. Leena gripped the railing. You mean they're coming here? The alien's glowing lines flared bright white. No, they are already here, on the far side of the solar system, beyond even the Oort cloud. Something vast began to stir. Sensors caught glimpses of shapes larger than moons, moving slowly. Deliberately, the readings were impossible. The objects weren't just moving through space, they were bending it. General Kale slammed his hand on the table as the reports came in. Are you telling me there's a second fleet out there? The technician's face was pale. Not a fleet, sir. Something bigger. Much bigger. For the first time since the war began. The humans in the Virex were united by the same fear. Because whatever was coming next was not just here to destroy humanity. It was here to cleanse the galaxy. In the war room, President Reyes spoke to the surviving fleet commanders. We have one enemy in front of us and another on the way, she said. If we fight separately, we lose everything. Her words were hard but clear. It's time we do the unthinkable. We have to talk to the Virex. And somewhere, deep in the black between stars, something enormous turned its attention toward Earth. The message repeated one last time. We are awake. The architects had awakened for days. Their signal pulsed through every communication channel, vibrating in the bones of every living thing. The stars themselves seemed to grow colder. Dr. Leena Park barely slept. The latest sensor reports were worse than anyone had feared. It's not just one fleet, she said, her voice flat. It's dozens, hundreds. They're using wormholes. They'll be here in days. President Reyes called the first ever joint war council between humans and Virex even. Admiral Threx appeared via holotransmission, his smooth, alien face unreadable. "You fought us," the president said. "You tried to erase us. But if the architects arrive, they won't stop with humans. They'll erase you too." Admiral Threx was silent for a long moment. Then he gave a single nod. "Very well. We will fight together." It was a fragile alliance. But it was all they had. For the first time, human and Virex warships flew side by side, building defenses near Earth. Massive asteroid fortresses were towed into position. The Starbound fleet armed every rail cannon and missile battery, and deep under the crust of the planet, the Starbound array, Earth's ultimate weapon, was prepared for use. Captain Aric Vale stood on the bridge of the horizon, staring at the holographic battle map. "This is everything we've got," his first officer said quietly. Aric nodded. "Then this is where we hold the line." When the Architect's first fleet arrived, it did not look like anything human or Virex had ever seen. Their ships were alive. Great black shapes that writhed like serpents, bending light as they moved, and when they spoke. It was not through transmissions. Every mind in the system heard the same words at once. "You were warned." The battle began instantly. Human and Virex ships opened fire together, filling space with streaks of plasma and railgun slugs. The Architect vessels didn't dodge. They simply absorbed the impacts, their surfaces rippling like water. Then they struck back. A single Architect beam lanced through the battlefield, slicing 3 destroyers apart with one shot. Another wave hit the Virex flagship, tearing it in half. Inside Defense Command, alarms screamed. "They're cutting through us like we're nothing." Someone shouted. General Kale slammed his fist on the table. "Activate the array now." Deep beneath Antarctica, the Starbound array began to wake. Massive underground reactors roared to life, channeling energy into the largest railgun ever built, a weapon designed to fire a projectile the size of a skyscraper. Its target, the heart of the Architect fleet. But charging the weapon would take time. Time that the fleets didn't have. Captain Aric's voice came through the command channel. "This is the horizon. We're going to hold the line as long as we can. Just get that gun ready." He turned to his crew. "You heard me? We buy Earth every second we can." The horizon dived into the battle. Alien ships closed in from every direction. Aric's gunners fired everything: torpedoes, cannons, even ramming drones loaded with explosives. Each shot destroyed another Architect ship, but more kept coming. On the ground, Dr. Leena stared at the array's power levels. 50% charged, an engineer reported. "We're running out of time," Leena whispered. Above, space was on fire. Human and Virex ships exploded one after another. Even the combined fleets were being pushed back toward Earth. The Architect fleet closed in, and then the horizon's hull shook with a direct hit. "We've lost shields," the first officer shouted. Aric gritted his teeth. "Then we keep firing until the guns melt." On Earth, the array's charge finally reached full power. President Reyes gave the order: "Fire." For a brief moment, the entire planet seemed to go silent. Then the ground shook as the array launched its projectile into space at near light speed. Every ship in the system watched as the massive slug crossed the void in seconds. Glowing white-hot from the friction of space itself, it struck the Architect flagship dead center. For an instant, there was no sound, just a blinding light. Then the ship imploded, taking a dozen others with it. Cheers erupted across every channel, but the celebration didn't last. The Architect fleet was still massive, and now they were angry. Inside the horizon, alarm screamed again. "Captain, the array needs time to recharge." Aric's jaw set. "Then we hold them off until it's ready." No matter the cost, the final battle had begun. And this time, there would be no retreat. The battlefield was hell. The horizon burned. Dozens of human and Virex ships floated as wreckage, spinning silently into the void, and still, the Architects advanced. their living ships coiled and twisted, growing stronger with each passing minute on Earth. The Starbound Array's reactors strained at maximum power. Glowing red-hot, Dr. Leena Park stood at the control station, sweat running down her face. "We need 60 more seconds," the engineer shouted over the alarms. Leena's hands clenched into fists. "Then we hold for 60 more seconds," she said. "Up in orbit." Captain Aric Vale's voice was steady, despite the chaos. "All ships, fall back toward Earth. Draw them into the array's firing solution." His first officer looked at him, horrified. "That puts us right in the blast zone." Aric's jaw tightened. "I know. Do it anyway." Human and Virex survivors formed a defensive ring around Earth. Ship after ship sacrificed itself, throwing everything they had at the approaching Architect fleet. The sky over Earth glowed with burning debris. Finally, the array's power levels hit maximum. Leena didn't wait for confirmation. "Fire," she shouted. The planet shook. A second projectile launched into the blackness, brighter and faster than the first. But this time, the Architects were ready. Their ships tried to scatter, their strange hulls warping space to absorb the impact. The projectile cut through them anyway. It didn't just destroy the Architect flagship, it detonated in a chain reaction, turning their entire fleet into a blinding storm of fire. For a few seconds, it was silent. Then the light faded. What remained of the Architect fleet was gone, vaporized, in orbit. The surviving human ships floated in stunned silence. Then the cheers began. Earth had survived. Humanity had done the impossible, but the price had been heavy. Half the fleet was gone. Entire colonies had gone dark. On the bridge of the horizon, Captain Aric looked at the casualty list, his chest heavy. "We bought them a future," he said quietly. His first officer nodded. "At a terrible cost." Later, in a broadcast to every corner of the galaxy, President Reyes spoke. Her words were simple but powerful. "Humanity has survived. We will not be erased. If the galaxy wants to fear us, then let it fear us. We will never bow." Admiral Threx and the remaining Virex warships withdrew, leaving the system in silence, but not before sending a final transmission. "You are more dangerous than we ever imagined, and we respect you for it." Weeks later, as Earth began to rebuild, Dr. Leena returned to the Virex prisoner's cell. It was still there, still standing motionless. "You saw what we did," she said softly. The alien's glowing eyes flared once. "Yes, you crushed them." Leena stepped closer. "Will they return?" The alien's face shifted in something that might have been a smile. "They will not forget you. No one will. The galaxy will change now, because of you." On the horizon, Captain Aric stood on the observation deck, staring out at the stars. They were quiet tonight, but not for long. Humanity had sent its message, and the galaxy had heard it.